Come here, my child. Sit with me a moment. I know you are still replaying it, even now, even tonight. Some part of you is standing in that moment again. The moment you found out. You have walked through it so many times that the grass should be worn down to bare earth by now. And still you walk it. Because some part of you keeps hoping that this time, when you reach the end of the memory, it will end differently. It does not end differently, does it? And every time you arrive at the same ending, something in your chest breaks, along the same line it broke the first time. I saw it happen, beloved. I saw the moment itself, and I have seen every replay since. And tonight, I want to talk with you about it. Not around it, not above it, about it. About the person you trusted most, and what they did. And the question you have been carrying ever since, like a stone sewn into your coat. How do I forgive this? And the quieter question underneath it, the one that frightens you more. Will I ever be able to trust anyone again? You did not come to this voice by chance, my child. I drew you aside tonight, the way a father takes a wounded child gently by the shoulder and leads them out of the crowd, away from all the eyes, into a quiet room where the wound can finally be looked at. So stay with me. Do not leave yet. What I want to say to you in these few minutes will not undo what was done to you. I will not insult you by pretending it can be undone, but it can change what that wound is allowed to do to the rest of your life. Stay and let me speak. Let us begin with the moment, because you have never really told anyone the whole of it, have you? There was a before, and there is an after, and between them stands a single moment, thin as a knife. Maybe it was a message you were never meant to see, glowing on a screen. Maybe it was a sentence that slipped out of someone's mouth and could not be put back. Maybe it was a confession, offered with tears that somehow made it worse. Maybe it was the slow, cold assembling of small things you had been ignoring for months, suddenly snapping together into a picture you could no longer unsee. And in that moment, the floor of your life tilted. The room did not change, but everything in it became strange, like furniture in a house you suddenly realized was never yours. You remember odd, small details from that moment, don't you? The time on the clock, the sound outside, the way your own voice sounded far away. I was there, my child. I was standing in that room with you when the floor tilted. You could not feel me then. The shock was too loud. But I was there. And I did not look away from you for 1 second of it. And since that day, the betrayal has done something to you that almost no one talks about. Something you have hardly been able to explain even to yourself. It did not only steal your future with that person, it reached backward and began stealing your past. You lie awake and take the good memories down off the shelf, one by one, the way a person checks their valuables after a robbery. The laughter, the promises, the day that meant everything. And you hold each one up to the light and ask the question that has no bottom. Was this real? Were they pretending even then? Which of my treasures are gold, and which are painted lead? My child, this is one of the cruelest parts of betrayal, that it makes a person a stranger in their own memories. I know you have been wandering those rooms at night. I have walked them with you. And then there is the sight of them, Perhaps you still have to see them at work, at family gatherings, in the same church, on a glowing screen where their life scrolls past, looking clean and bright and untroubled. They laugh in photographs. They go on. They sleep, apparently, just fine. And something in you clenches like a fist and asks the question you are ashamed of but cannot stop asking. Why am I the one who is broken? They swung the hammer, and I am the one lying in pieces. Where is the fairness in that? I hear that question, beloved. I do not despise you for it. We will come back to it, because my word has an answer for it that may surprise you. And I have heard the other voice too, the one that turns the blade inward, the voice that says, I should have seen it coming. The signs were there. Maybe if I had been more, or better, or wiser, or enough, they would not have done it. My child, listen to me carefully now, because I will say this slowly. You have been holding a trial in your own head, and somehow the victim ended up in the defendant's chair. That is not justice. That is the wound talking. What they did, they chose. Their choice came from what was broken in them, not from what was lacking in you. You could have been twice what you are, and a person determined to deceive would have deceived. Lay down the gavel, beloved. That courtroom has the wrong person on trial. And there is one more thing I have seen, the quietest damage of all. The door. Since that day, you have been closing a door inside yourself, slowly, almost without noticing. Someone kind comes near, a new friend, an old friend, perhaps a love. And just as they reach a certain distance, you step back. You keep things light. You answer warmly and reveal nothing. Not because of who they are, because of who that other person was. The lock they broke has made you suspicious of every hand that reaches for any handle. And so you are safe now, yes, but you are also alone in there, my child. I have watched you grow lonely inside your own protection, and it grieves me, because a heart I made for connection is living like a fortress under siege when the war, in truth, is over. The unfinished replays, the robbed memories, the sight of them unbroken while you carry the breaking. The trial where you keep convicting yourself, the door closing on every gentle knock. I have seen all of it, beloved. You thought this wound was invisible. It has never once been invisible to me. Now, before we speak of forgiveness, before we speak of anything you must do, let me tell you where I am while all of this is happening. Because the enemy of your soul has been whispering that you are out here alone with this. That a wound this private is a wound you carry by yourself. Hear what is written in the 34th Psalm. The Lord is nigh unto them that are of a broken heart, and saveth such as be of a contrite spirit. Nigh, near, not near to the impressive ones, the put-together ones, the ones whose trust was never violated. Near to the broken-hearted. My child, do you understand what that means for you tonight? Your shattered trust is not a condition that disqualifies you from my presence. It is the very address I come to. While you have been lying awake, replaying that moment, I have not been across the universe waiting for you to recover. I have been near, nearer than I am to many a person whose life is whole. There is a closeness I keep for the broken that the unbroken have never known. You are inside that closeness right now, whether you can feel it or not. But I know what your heart whispers back. It whispers, "Lord, you are God. You are high and holy and far above all this." What can you really know about being betrayed by someone you let all the way in? Oh, my child, come, let me show you something in my word. Let me show you that of all the pains a human being can carry, this one, this exact one, I know from the inside. Listen to David, my servant, my king, in the 55th Psalm. He is writing with a shaking hand, and this is what he writes. "For it was not an enemy that reproached me, then I could have borne it. Neither was it he that hated me, that did magnify himself against me. Then I would have hid myself from him. But it was thou, a man mine equal, my guide, and mine acquaintance. We took sweet counsel together, and walked unto the house of God in company." Read those lines again, slowly, and tell me they were not written about your life. If an enemy had done it, David says, "I could have borne it." That is the truth no one tells, isn't it? Enemies are survivable. You expect the blow from an enemy. You brace for it. You can even hide from it. But it was thou, a man mine equal, my guide, my acquaintance. The one who did this to David was the one who sat at his table, the one whose counsel he trusted, the one he walked beside into the house of God. They worshiped together, my child. They prayed side by side, and that was the hand that held the knife. 3,000 years ago, I put those words in my book, so that on this very night, you would open it and discover that your nameless, private, impossible to explain pain has had a name and an address in my word all along. You are not the first to walk this road. It is an old road, and it is mapped. And David is not the end of it. Beloved, hear me now, for this is the part I most want you to know. When I came down to walk among you, when I took on flesh and dust and hunger and weariness in my Son, I chose 12 men. I did not choose them at a distance. For 3 years I shared bread with them, slept on the same hard ground, washed their feet with my own hands. And one of those 12, one who had seen the blind given their eyes and the dead given back their breath, sold me for 30 pieces of silver, the going price of a slave. And when he came to hand me over in the dark of that garden, he did not point from far off. He walked up to me, close, the way only an intimate can, and he betrayed me with a kiss. The very sign of love turned into the instrument of the wound. So when I tell you that I understand, my child, I am not speaking as a distant king reading a report of your sorrow. I am speaking as one who has felt the warmth of a traitor's lips on my own face. There is no fellowship like the fellowship of a shared wound. And in this wound, you and I are companions. Whatever else you carry out of tonight, carry this. The God you pray to knows betrayal not by observation, but by experience. I know there is one more question crouching behind all the others. My child, you have circled it for a long time without touching it. The question is, where were you? If you saw it all, if you were in the room when the floor tilted, why did you not stop it? Why did you let someone do this to a heart that was trying to walk with you? I will not pretend that question is small, and I will not hand you a tidy answer that my word has not given. For I do not deal in painted comfort, but I will tell you what is written, and what is written is this: I gave your kind real freedom, and real freedom means some hands will choose to wound. What I never gave anyone, not once, not ever, is the freedom to place their evil outside my reach. They chose the deed. I was not the author of it. But the moment it was done, it entered a story whose ending belongs to me, and I have been working it ever since, in ways you have not yet seen. You do not have to take my word for that as a bare claim, beloved. Let me show you a life where it is proven, page by page, in my book. If these words are finding the sore place, beloved, stay close to this channel. Subscribe so that on the nights when the replaying starts again, a word of comfort will already be waiting for you. And if you are willing, write in the comments, in as few or as many words as you wish, simply this: what you are learning to release. Not the person's name, not the details, just the burden. Not as a ritual, and not to earn anything from me, for my love was settled long before you ever typed a word. Write it so the weight is no longer carried in secret, and so that others walking this same old road can read it and pray for you, and you for them. Wounds heal strangely in the dark, my child. In the light, they heal clean. Now come with me a little further. I want to tell you about a man whose betrayal was worse than yours, so that you can watch with your own eyes what I am able to do, with a story that human treachery tried to end. His name was Joseph. His story fills the last chapters of the book of Genesis, and I preserved every line of it for hearts like yours. Joseph was 17 when the people he trusted most turned on him. And hear this clearly, my child. It was not strangers. It was not rivals. It was his own brothers. The boys he grew up with, the ones who shared his father's table, his family's tents, his childhood. They saw him coming across the field one day, and they conspired. They tore off the coat his father gave him, threw him into a dry pit, and sat down to eat bread while he begged from the bottom of it. Think of that detail, beloved. For it is written, they sat down to eat bread. His anguish rose out of that pit while they chewed and swallowed. And then they pulled him out, not in mercy, but in commerce, and sold him to passing traders for 20 pieces of silver, and watched him be carried off in chains to a foreign land. Then they dipped his coat in goat's blood and let their old father weep over a lie for 20 years. If anyone ever had the full, certified, undeniable right to bitterness, it was Joseph. Sold by blood, slandered later by a lying woman in Egypt, and thrown into prison for a sin he refused to commit. Forgotten in that prison by a man he had helped. Year upon year upon year, every chapter of his youth written by someone else's treachery. And yet, my child, follow the story. In the pit, I was with him. In the slave caravan, I was with him. In the prison, the scripture says plainly, the Lord was with Joseph. The betrayal had power to move his body to Egypt, but it had no power at all to move my presence off of him. And step by step, through years no one was watching, I raised that betrayed boy until he stood at the right hand of Pharaoh, with the storehouses of Egypt under his signet ring, in the very position where he could save whole nations, including, when the famine came, the very brothers who had sold him. Now watch closely what happens when they finally stand before him, because this is where I want you to lean in. The brothers came to Egypt starving, and they did not recognize the man in fine linen who held their lives in his hand. He recognized them. And what did Joseph do, my child? Did he forgive in one clean, effortless instant, the way the storybooks tell it? No. Read it for yourself. The scripture says he turned away from them and wept. And not once, again and again across those chapters. This powerful man has to leave the room because the grief comes up in waves. Once, it is written, he wept so loudly that the Egyptians outside the walls heard him. Hear me, beloved. That is what real forgiveness looks like in a real human soul. Not a switch flipped, but a long labor with tears in it. If you have wept on the way toward releasing what was done to you, you are not failing at forgiveness. You are doing it the only way it has ever truly been done. And then, at the end, when their father was buried and the brothers fell down before Joseph, terrified that the old debt would finally be collected, he said two things to them, and I want to put both of them into your hands tonight, like two keys. First, he said, "Fear not, for am I in the place of God?" Do you hear what he laid down in that sentence? He laid down the judge's seat. He did not say what you did was nothing. He did not pretend the pit and the chains and the stolen years had not happened. He said, "The settling of this account is above my pay grade, and I am handing the gavel back to the one it belongs to." He released them from his judgment, and in doing so, my child, he released himself from carrying it. And then he said the words I have been wanting to say over your story since the night the floor tilted. "But as for you, ye thought evil against me, but God meant it unto good, to bring to pass, as it is this day, to save much people alive. Ye thought evil against me." Notice, beloved, he called it what it was, evil. Forgiveness in my word never requires you to rename the crime. It was evil, what they did to him. It may have been evil, what was done to you. Say so. But then comes the turn on which his whole life pivoted. But God meant it unto good. The brothers wrote a chapter, my child. They did not write the book. They had the power to put Joseph in a pit. They never had the power to decide what I would build from the bottom of that pit. And the one who betrayed you, hear me now, wrote a chapter in your story. A dark one. A real one. I will not pretend the ink is not there, but the pen of your ending is not in their hand. And it never was. It is in mine. I am not telling you tonight that I will hand you Egypt, or a title, or a particular tomorrow. I will not put promises in my own mouth that my word has not made to you. What I am telling you is what the story proves about me, and this part is certain. I am a God who keeps writing after the betrayal, and no treachery of man has ever once forced my hand to drop the pen. So now, beloved, we must speak plainly about the word you have been wrestling with. forgiveness. Because I think the reason it has felt impossible is that you have been told it means things it has never meant. Hear what forgiveness is not. Forgiveness is not saying it did not matter. It mattered. Forgiveness is not forgetting. You are not commanded to perform surgery on your own memory. Forgiveness is not the canceling of all consequence. And, my child, hear this one with special care. Forgiveness is not the same as trust. Forgiveness can be given in a day by grace. Trust is rebuilt slowly by evidence, and it is not a debt you owe. If the one who wounded you is unsafe still, you may forgive them fully from a careful distance. Wisdom and mercy are sisters in my house, beloved. I never ask one to destroy the other. Do not let anyone, even well-meaning voices, shame you back into harm's reach and call it holiness. That is not in my word. Then what is forgiveness? It is this, written in the 12th chapter of Romans. Dearly beloved, avenge not yourselves, but rather give place unto wrath. For it is written, Vengeance is mine, I will repay, saith the Lord. Forgiveness, my child, is a transfer of the case. It is taking the file you have been carrying, the one with all the evidence, all the dates, all the wounds documented in your own blood, and handing it across the desk to the only judge in the universe who saw everything, knows everything, and judges with perfect justice. It does not declare the guilty innocent. It declares the courtroom mine. Justice is not being canceled when you forgive. It is being relocated to a higher court, where it is finally safe from corruption, including the slow corruption that carrying it was working in you. For you have felt it, haven't you? The resentment you have been holding was meant to be a weapon against them, but it has been living in your chest, not theirs. It drinks your sleep, not theirs. It sits at your table. Unforgiveness, beloved, is the strangest of poisons, swallowed by one person in the hope that another will die of it. Hand me the cup, hand me the case, I will repay, saith the Lord. You may trust my justice with it. You may also, when you are ready, trust my mercy with it. For my mercy reached you once, when you did not deserve it either. But that is between me and them, and it is no longer your burden to administer. And where will you find the strength for such a handover? Not in your own goodness, my child. The wound is too deep for that. Hear the secret written to the Ephesians. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. And be ye kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as God for Christ's sake hath forgiven you. As God hath forgiven you. There is the wellspring. You do not pump forgiveness up out of your own dry ground. You pass along forgiveness that has already been poured into you. The forgiven forgive, the way the sun-warmed stone gives off warmth after sunset, not from its own fire, but from the fire it has been sitting in. Sit in my forgiveness, beloved. Stay near it. The releasing of your betrayer will rise in you, in time, as naturally as warmth rises from that stone. So let me give you the path now. Small steps. The wound has carried enough weight. The steps must be light. First, Do not try to finish forgiving tonight. I do not ask it. Tonight, I ask only for willingness. If you cannot yet pray, Lord, I forgive them, then pray the prayer underneath that one. Lord, I cannot forgive them yet. Make me willing. That prayer is not a failure, my child. That prayer is the door swinging on its first hinge, and I receive it with joy. Second, when the anger returns, and it will return, for wounds throb long after they are bound, do not be ashamed and do not be surprised. Each time it rises, make the transfer again. Say it aloud if you must. Vengeance is yours, Lord. The case is in your court. I asked my children once how often to forgive, and I answered, until 70 times 7. And part of what that means, beloved, is that forgiving one betrayal may itself take 490 handings over. Each one counts. None is wasted. Third, do not nurse this wound alone. Bitterness grows best in sealed rooms. Somewhere near you is one trustworthy soul, a friend whose faith you respect, a pastor, a counselor wise in the things of the heart, who can sit with you in this. Tell one true person. Let them pray with you and watch over your healing. And if the bitterness has gone down deep, deeper than a friend can reach, there is no shame, none, in seeking out someone trained to help untangle what betrayal ties in a soul. I work through such hands too. And fourth, beloved, this one I ask gently. Do not let one person's treachery write the rule for every heart that approaches you. Be wise. Yes. Let trust be earned in steps. Yes. But do not brick up the door. The same heart that can be wounded is the heart that can be loved. And I did not knit that heart together so it could spend its remaining years as a locked room. Open slowly, open carefully, but open. If this word has steadied something in you tonight, pass it on to one person who is carrying a betrayal of their own. You know who they are. You have heard it under their words. Sometimes the gentlest healing I send a person arrives as a simple message from a friend that says, I thought of you. You are not alone in this. And if you have not yet, stay with this channel. Subscribe so that these quiet words can find you again on the nights the replaying starts. Now, my child, the hour grows late, and you have looked at this wound longer tonight than you usually allow. That took courage. Let me say the last things softly. What they did was real. I saw it. It mattered. And I have never once asked you to pretend otherwise. But it was a chapter, not the book. The pen is in my hand. The case is in my court. And I am nigh, this very hour, unto the broken heart that is listening to me now. You were worth more than they understood. Their failure to see your worth never reduced it by one grain. I see it entirely, and I have it counted. And what I count, no one steals. So tonight, before you sleep, make just the first transfer. Slide the heavy file across the desk to me. You can take it back tomorrow if you must. I suspect that, like many of my children, you will find it strangely lighter each time you lift it. Until one morning, perhaps not soon, but surely, you will reach for the old weight and find that it is gone. And in its place, peace. quiet as morning light on the floor of an open room. The Lord bless thee and keep thee. The Lord make his face shine upon thee, and be gracious unto thee. The Lord lift up his countenance upon thee, and give thee peace. You are seen. You are not foolish for having loved and trusted. And your story, beloved, is still being written by hands that have never once betrayed anyone. Good night, my child. I am near. I have been near all along. And what others meant for evil over your life, I am already, even tonight, meaning unto good.